17 FM 710 Keel, Mike and McCarty, and on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline, honored to have Congressman Mike Johnson joining us this morning. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning to you guys.
Happy Monday, isn't it?
It is a happy Monday. It's in some ways it feels like morning in America. We had this fateful decision that we've been waiting on for a half century, and it really has changed things.
Go ahead.
Do you think this is going between this, the historic also gun legislation decision that they made last week? Do you think this is possibly signifies a turning point for America?
Well, we hope so. I mean, we finally have a majority on the court, and we've been working towards this, for almost 50 years, at least since Roe in that policy arena. We have needed a majority on the court that would faithfully apply the Constitution as written. You hear the term originalism. That's all it means. It means that you look at the document and you apply it as written, as intended. This is the foundation of our system of laws, the foundation of our constitutional republic. And we haven't had the majority of justices to do that until now. And so you're going to get rulings that look different than they have in previous years, at least in our lifetimes. And that's a very good thing for the country. So we certainly hope so.
Justice Clarence Thomas is, his opinion he issued, no one else signed on. Folks are saying, now they're coming for LGBTQ rights, contraceptive rights, and other rights, gay marriage rights, etc. Do you buy that argument?
No, because the majority specifically stated that is not the case. Abortion is sui generis in the law. It is its own area. It's very distinct and unusual. And the majority of the court clarified that. So I don't think that's going to happen.
For women in Louisiana who want an abortion, what do they have to do now? They can go to other states. There's been a myth out there saying they couldn't even go to another state to get an abortion. That's not true, correct?
That's not true. Abortion will be legal in some states. Right now, we project there, and it'll be roughly half the states are going to outlaw abortion as we have. As you know, 13 states had what we call the trigger laws on the books. We passed ours back in 2006, so Louisiana is one of the 7 of the 13 where it is immediately effective. The others will join here in the next couple of months, and we expect over the next several months about half the states will be pro-life, and the others will still provide it. So people can travel there, sadly.
Mike, we know with midterms coming up, the left is panicking, and there's been discussion even before this, after Trump's, appointment of conservative justices. There's been talk about packing the court. Is that a possibility? What would have to happen? And do you see that the left trying to change the makeup of the Supreme Court?
Well, you heard Elizabeth Warren, Senator Warren, on the Sunday shows calling for that. Others have as well, Bernie Sanders and others. But thankfully, we still have the filibuster in place in the Senate, and that would require 60 votes to get over that hurdle. I don't think that they'll get Republicans to go along with that, and certainly more than 1 or 2. And I would hope that some reasonable Democrats would resist that call as well. To pack the court would be devastating. It would create a situation where anytime you had a new president, new majority in the Senate or the Congress, that they would just add more justices, and it could go on ad infinitum. It would be terrible for our system. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the late lion of the left, was one who always faithfully advocated for keeping 9 justices, because it has worked well for our history, and there's change for political purposes.
Mike, let me ask you this, because there are a lot of people bashing, you, the state legislature, even the governor, but we voted in Louisiana last year, right? We voted a constitutional amendment that there's no right to abortion in the Louisiana Constitution, and that vote was 62%. Am I accurate?
Yeah, that's right. So in 2006, we created the trigger law. Well, back up, and from the early 1980s, 1981, the legislature began to affirm that we believe in the sanctity of life in Louisiana. And over the years, laws have clarified that and doubled down on it. Our trigger law was passed in 2006, and in 2020, we all went and voted on the Love Life Amendment and amended the Constitution. And all that amendment says is that, Aaron, there are no judges in a state court or the state Supreme Court who can magically find the right to abortion in our state Constitution, as Roe did in the federal Constitution. So that just affirmed it. Hey, in the current session that just ended, just a couple of weeks ago, as y'all know, more pro-life legislation. By the way, bipartisan. Katrina Jackson, African-American state senator, authored the legislation. It was bipartisan. It was across party lines, and everybody got on board. The governor signed it, further affirming all these provisions. So, yeah, this is the will of the people. This is how politics works. And look, I would say this, Aaron, and I've said this over and over, and we need to continue to. The first self-evident truth of our nation, the Declaration of Independence, which we're going to celebrate here in a few weeks, July 4th, or a couple days. All human beings are made by our Creator, God, and endowed by Him with certain inalienable rights, beginning with the right to life. That is the foundational truth of our country. So for somebody to criticize the legislature or the Congress or any of us for affirming that is really, I could say, un-American.
So what are you going to do to take care of all these babies that are now going to be born? And are we also going to need to put in place laws for the men who impregnate these women? There's a lot of people saying that they're getting off scot-free. Do we need new laws with regard to both of those issues?
Well, that latter idea, I think, would be difficult to enact and difficult to enforce. I'm not sure. There'll be a lot of thought and discussion about that. But the immediate focus right now in all the pro-life states, like ours, is that we have to shift to life-affirming care, right? We have to work to build up and expand our policy, our sort of infrastructure awareness in our state to directly assist women and children, born and unborn, and their families, okay? And a lot of this work will be carried out by the state's pregnancy care centers. They're going to need a lot of additional assistance and volunteering and funding, et cetera. And then also the network that we have for adoption and foster care families and the rest. This is a time, I spoke in a big church in Shreveport yesterday and reminded believers that now is the time for the church to step up, for charities and nonprofits and everyone to join hands. We believe in the sanctity of human life from conception and natural death. We support the unborn and we support the children after they're born, and we will have a chance to show that more than we ever have before, and that's an exciting thing for the state and our people.
You bring up an interesting point. My daughter is in the process of adopting a child now. She's going through an organization in her church, and it's a child out of South Africa. The adoption process is, to say it's difficult is an understatement. It's cumbersome. It's expensive. It's very expensive.
It's a very sad truth that it has been easier to abort a child than to adopt one, and we have to change that. There's a lot of public policy work that needs to be done here, and there's some ideas on reform, and we'll be talking about that in earnest in the days and months ahead.
Thank you so much for holding, Congressman Mike Johnson. I do have a comment and a question. First of all, I don't think, and do you agree that this could have happened, talking about the Supreme Court decision, without Donald Trump?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I mean, look, the longest lasting legacy of any president is who that president puts onto the federal bench at the district court level, the appellate court level, and, of course, the Supreme Court. And it's extraordinary to have a president, because the way things developed, to have 3 appointments to the highest court in the land, and he did. Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and our dear friend Amy Coney Barrett, of course, from Louisiana. And remember, one of the reasons he got elected, Mike, is that he sent out this list, the famous list, before in the 2016 election cycle, and he said, if you appoint me, because the Supreme Court's always a big election issue, he said, if you appoint me, I would choose judges off of this list. And that list was carefully vetted. Those were original lists. People would be faithful to the Constitution. President Trump did that. He fulfilled his promise. And he does deserve a lot of the credit for this great day having finally come now.
Huge fights all over social media all weekend. You've seen them all. I'm just so sick and tired of it. But let me ask you a question that to me is a valid point. Death penalty. If you like conception, you said a minute ago, conception until natural death.
Right.
Do you support the death penalty?
I do. I support capital punishment. Let me tell you why that's not an inconsistent position, because an unborn child is innocent, right? By definition.
But the commandment says thou shalt not kill. It doesn't say thou shalt not kill good guys. You follow me?
What about war?
I do follow. Well, right. There's a time to every purpose under heaven, Ecclesiastes 3. And look, there are some crimes that are so heinous that society must impose the ultimate penalty. Now, they should be rare, but serial killers, mass murderers, terrorists, there are some crimes that are so bad that society has to do this in order to maintain justice. If we're going to have a theological discussion, I love that. Micah 6:8, he has shown the old man what's good and what the Lord requires of thee. You are to act justly, yes, love mercy, walk humbly with your God. Justice and mercy have to both be administered. They're not mutually exclusive pursuits, but part of maintaining justice and order is having laws that are fulfilled, and sometimes you have to go to the ultimate level on that. So, look, it's not an inconsistent position. A lot of my Catholic friends, I'm Southern Baptist, a lot of my Catholic friends argue that, they're opposed to capital punishment. That's not my position. I believe we have to do both.
By the way,
protect the sanctity of human life and also support capital punishment.
I love that you quoted Micah 6:8. That's the verse my daughter was named after, by the way.
I love it.
Yeah, people think it was after me. No, it was Micah 6:8. One quick question in our short time left, and we didn't talk about this beforehand. Won't you run for governor?
I don't know. I got my hands full in Washington, brother. I was.
We love you here.
I've had a lot of people ask me that. Well, I've had a lot of people ask me, but everybody needs to know I believe we're going to have a big red wave election in November, and Louisiana's delegation is going to be very well situated. Steve Scalise is going to very likely be the majority leader of the Republicans in the House. I'm currently the vice chairman of the House Republicans, the number 4 leadership position. There may be a chance I move up a spot, so I would be derelict in my duty if I walked away from that, because these leadership positions are really important for our state and our district. And I got my hands full where I'm at.
Last 10 seconds to those who say, Mike Johnson, we're coming for you. You've seen that this weekend too. What do you say to them?
Oh, yeah. I say, God love you. Look, we can have spirited debate. It's part of the beauty of America. But we have to respect one another as individuals as well. And I'm happy to have that debate with anybody, but let's do it in a civil manner.
Gotcha.
Praying for you.
Yep. Congressman Mike Johnson. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
101.7 FM.